Brooks and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
With the 23rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU.
Coming back to make the catch is Thomas. Makes a man miss and will score! A second lightning strike.
Went and toured the facility. It was a great place. It was a great environment. Just love the feeling of being in Jacksonville.
Thomas breaking open, hauls it in. Thomas tripped up, but it's still a touchdown for the Tigers.
You're adding a skilled receiver. You're adding depth. You're adding a guy that has an element of speed that we haven't had. I think it can only be a great asset for us on offense to not only open up the field, but I think open up some other elements of the offense.
Nussmeier throwing, looking for BTJ. He's got it. Touchdown, LSU.
He's 6'0", 2'7". He's 209 pounds, and he runs sub 4.4, mid 4.3s. So, and he's got the production to back it up. We're just looking forward to getting him in here and getting our hands on him and going to work.
Looking for Thomas again. He's got it, and LSU strikes back quickly.
I like to run past defenders, try to do my best to create myself and get open, and also helping my teammates get open.
Looking for the end zone. Touchdown! Brian Thomas Jr. does it again.
He was going to be the pick at 17. We felt we were going to get a really good football player that we had high on our board with the move back. But fortunate that Brian was still there.
Duval.
And there you have it, Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU, the newest Jacksonville Jaguar. I feel like lots of victory laps can be taken today. Coach Campo joined us yesterday, and he said multiple times he would trade back, he would trade back. He was certainly correct that that's what Trent Baalke ended up deciding to do, moving from 17 to 23, as you just heard. And, of course, lots of people were predicting Brian Thomas Jr. I've liked him for months. That's who I wanted. I was absolutely thrilled, and I think most people, Taylor, are feeling the exact same way.
Yeah, I think overall the vibes are good. There was the instant frustration of a trade back by a lot of people. I think that they were just like, here we go again. Why are we trading back? Just get the player you want. But then I think once you heard compensation and then once they still got Brian Thomas, you were kind of like, everyone settled a little bit. I personally could care less about 12, 13, 14 picks. I don't care about that. It's interesting to me that we're hearing Brian Thomas was the highest graded guy on their board of those people when it comes to the two corners, maybe even when it comes to the edge positions that were available. But I feel like it's just really telling of how much they want to help Trevor Lawrence. And it's something we've been talking about a lot this offseason about how important it is and how important this season is for Trevor, and to give him a weapon like someone like Brian Thomas, who, yes, we talk about the 17 touchdowns. And one of the things that when I did my podcast on Brian Thomas, and this quote kind of sticks in my head about him, is they said he's more of a speed guy, less of a quick. And he was like, he's that guy that once he gets going, he's going to be fast. He's not the quick, crisp route runner, but he'll go over people's heads. He can be a deep threat. And then once he does get going, that speed will catch up to people.
I think that, and I was thinking about it on my drive-in today here to Players Grill, which is where we are coming at you live from on Helmets and Heels. Players Grill Mandarin. Make sure you stop on by. We'll be keeping you posted on all the fun stuff they have coming up in the next few weeks throughout the duration of today's program. But as I was driving in, I couldn't help but think that so much speculation this offseason of would the Jaguars opt to draft a wide receiver. Then I thought, well, then there was, of course, the kicking the tires on Brandon Ayuk. There were Jaguar fans clamoring for T. Higgins to be traded for. And in thinking about who Brian Thomas is, who he profiles as, his skill set, what routes he runs well, what routes wide receivers at Clemson ran well that allowed for Trevor Lawrence to have success at the college level, what so many NFL analysts have said the Jaguars need to take this offense to the next level. He does have a little bit of Ayuk. He does have a little bit of T. Higgins in him. And he is just 21 years old and on a rookie contract for the next 4 to 5 years. And so that's where I think this is a massive victory for Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, as well as Trevor Lawrence, because you get that quote-unquote flavor, if you may, at wide receiver that you felt you were lacking, that in some regards maybe you thought Calvin Ridley could afford you, because you thought and you hoped that maybe he would be able to stretch the field and be a route runner. While certainly Brian Thomas still has room to grow in the route running department, he's not going to be asked to do that early on because the Jaguars did bring in Gabe Davis, because they still have Zay Jones on the roster. But he is going to afford you that opportunity to get the field extended, open up things underneath for both Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram in the middle of the field, where the Jaguars basically forgot existed for half of the season. And that's where I think it's a massive victory. Oh, and by the way, you also picked up draft capital, not just this year but next year, which is where, again, if you are in that market of it's the trade deadline, let's say there's a veteran edge rusher who's suddenly on the market, the Raiders have 3 wins and Max Crosby's on the market. You have draft capital now that you can go to them. And yes, I know a third and a fourth isn't getting Max Crosby done, but like, hey, I'm just throwing it out there. You have that draft capital now that you could go into the trade deadline and have additional picks that you could deal to get a veteran defensive or offensive player for that matter.
Yeah, I think there are so many positives that have come out of what happened last night, and certainly one of them is the Jaguars have liked Brian Thomas Jr. for quite some time. I know that for a fact, that when people were making the selection of Brian Thomas Jr. in mock drafts, there was a reason for that. When Frank joined us, I have a feeling he probably had a good estimation of what the Jaguars felt about Brian Thomas Jr. There's a reason that they loved him, too. 17 receiving touchdowns last season. We led the nation. We've talked about that for a while now. The 4.33 speed, that's incredible. So you've got a guy who was productive in college, which we love to analyze different aspects that we think is going to translate to the NFL. That's one of them. Certainly Christian Kirk was very productive in college. That has translated well to the NFL as an example. And then you've got how good he tested. And so you got to combine all of that in this one player. And yes, he's now going to be less expensive than had you paid for other guys. Dane Brugler compared in the Beast. Dane Brugler from The Athletic compares him, Brian Thomas Jr., to T. Higgins. So, and there's a reason for that, and he studies tape more than most people. The reason I liked Brian Thomas Jr. is I watched a lot of SEC football. I watched Malik Neighbors, I watched Jaden Daniels, and I watched Brian Thomas Jr. He is a stud. And so, Trevor Lawrence and his camp have to be extraordinarily happy about this. And I also do know that the Jaguars liked 4 players when it came time for them to pick. One of them was off the board. So they still had the options that they wanted. And so, they went with the guy they liked the best. And I think he is going to be a huge piece of this offense right away. I know some people don't love rookie receivers and it doesn't always work out. I think he's going to be super, super talented. And great job, by the way, RJ Saunders, our producer back at 1010XL headquarters, for putting that highlight package together. We are live, as Mia said, at Players Grill Mandarin. They have all sorts of fun stuff coming up, and so we will certainly tell you that throughout the show. At 12:15, we're going to check in, Mia, with Luke Hetrick and talk all about this draft overall. But so from the vibe last night, as you were down at the draft party, obviously fans were excited because they've heard of this guy. I think there were other teams that may have picked players that fan bases were like, wait, who, what? But I think fans were probably very excited, right?
Yeah, I wasn't actually out at the stadium. That actually may be a better question for Graham Marsh, who's joining us, of course, at Players Grill, or John O'Leary, our engineer, videographer extraordinaire, because I was up in the Miller Electric Center, which, of course, now we have. This time last year, in the previous 29 years, we didn't have the ability to have that separate facility. So I didn't actually get to hear the roar of the crowd. I do know that when the pick was dealt back to number 23, there were plenty of Irish goodbyes. Shout out to Patrick Young. That's literally what he told me. He's like, I just Irish goodbye. I got out of here. Shout out to Pat Young. It was so funny. But I think it's, unfortunately, because Trent Baalke is known as Trader Trent, I think that for Jaguar fans who, as we've been told by several here at Players Grill, who had to work the next day, who had to wake up early, the thought of staying up and staying out for another 45 minutes to an hour, not exactly ideal. And so I think there was a little disappointment there, but I think overall, if he was the player that they wanted all along and they got value, got him at 23 and also picked up additional draft capital, which I fully anticipate, and I know it takes 2 to tango, I fully anticipate the Jaguars trying to move up either in the second round or third round tonight, then hey, it was worth it. And yes, it is, according to multiple value charts, the 9th highest trade value in terms of what the Vikings gave up for Dallas Turner in terms of the correlation between did the Jaguars fleece Minnesota or not, which Trent Baalke said no, we didn't fleece them. We felt like it was fair. They felt like it was fair. But, yeah, a lot of metrics suggest the Jaguars got the better end of that deal.
Yeah, and I think that some of the people who may not love it may be just thinking more so in their heads they got the fourth wide receiver over being able to get the first or second corner or the first or second edge. And that's like a lot of the comments that I was seeing on that. Why would you trade back for like the fourth best when you could have got the first or second at another position that you needed? And that's those are all valid arguments. Like I feel like I understand both sides in the scenario. I love Brian Thomas. I'm super pumped about it. I said yesterday, I don't know if there was a situation outside of like Nate Wiggins and maybe Xavier Worthy or something like that I really wouldn't like. And I've done a lot of stuff and a lot of research and watched a lot of Brian Thomas, so I'm excited about it. But I do see the opposite side of some people getting a little frustrated, especially when you start seeing, okay, well, we've been talking so much about now this defense is going to be a whole lot of 4-2-5. Do we have that 5? I heard someone yesterday, I believe it was on primetime, talking about Darby, talking about Ronald Darby, and was like, I'm highly concerned about that. He couldn't stay on the field his whole career so far, whether it's injury or just not being able to win a spot on the starting roster. And so he was concerned, and then that made me a little concerned. But there's still time. Like, they have picks. They have not too far away another pick where they could address that. I think some people, just because everyone's been slamming so hard about how deep this wide receiver draft is and how you could still get a pretty good wide receiver in round 2 and round 3, that maybe some people have their concerns, but I feel like for the most part, most people don't think Brian Thomas isn't going to be a good player.
Well, and everybody also has that I want to be right syndrome, right? We all want to be right. And so it's easy for me to be like, well, I picked Brian Thomas Jr. in the media mock draft in Las Vegas. I'm right. Like, had they picked corner Terrion Arnold, it wouldn't have been like, oh, well, they should have done this because I wanted this. No, that means that's who they valued the best. And so I think people who were locked in at corner are disappointed because they wanted to be right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, what you need is to get the offense better, you need to get the defense better. Had they picked a corner, we would have all been excited. And today, instead of watching highlights of Brian Thomas Jr., we would have watched highlights of the corner being a lockdown corner.
Okay, good job. Well, and that's what it's interesting, too, because I heard somebody on when Mike Dempsey was taking calls earlier, and just to let people know, because us three have had this conversation even last night and this morning, but I heard a couple people comment about how they felt like Brian Thomas, his presser after and his interviews kind of seemed like he wasn't excited to be a Jaguar. I don't want people to think that whatsoever. Brian Thomas is just he doesn't talk a lot. He's a quieter guy. We've all kind of heard that from a lot of the media at LSU. It's not like he's just kind of one of those even keel guys. You're not going to get a whole lot of rah-rah or energy out of him, but that does not mean he doesn't want to be in Jacksonville.
I think that's a good point. And at the end of the day, you're here to watch a football player and how they perform. And I think he'll fit in great with the locker room and everything like that in the offense. But, yeah, everyone has a different personality. People also thought Doug Peterson didn't seem as excited as he should have. Yeah. Like, people just chill and watch the team come this September. All right, we are going to check in now with Luke Hetrick.
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Our dear friend Miles Garrett of Fox 5 Sports in Atlanta is on an airplane right now, and so I was speaking with him as he was on his way back from the NFL draft in Detroit, and he said, you know who you got to call. You got to call the man who covers not only Atlanta sports, he previously covered Orlando sports. Yes, we will sneak an Orlando Magic question during this interview. He is the one, the only friend of the program, Luke Hetrick, on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline. Welcome to Helmets and Heels, my brother. It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time, and this is like you call for 2017 Carson Wentz. He's not available. So it's like, oh, I guess we got Nick Foles lying around. So, maybe that'll work. And hey, for some it does.
Super Bowl champion.
Segment, I think it's going to be a championship segment right here.
As I just told one of our texters on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, flags fly forever, Luke. So don't you forget that. Hey, I want to start this conversation with this. Some folks may say, why are you calling a reporter in Atlanta who covers the Falcons? Why do we need to talk about that? I think that number 8 proved to be, in the NFL draft last night, the true pivot point. I know for a fact that the Jaguars were among the teams that were inquiring to move into the top 10 should Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors fall to that position. I know Taylor noted the Chicago Bears were interested in coming up from 9. There were multiple teams that had interest in coming up and probably had the draft capital according to the trade value chart to do so. But what they weren't accounting for, Luke, was the fact that they would have to reach the equivalent of capital of a quarterback, because no one foresaw the Atlanta Falcons selecting a quarterback, and that throws the trade value chart out the window. And so I am just curious. Let's go big picture here. Did anyone know that the Falcons were taking a quarterback?
There were hints. There were small hints along the way. You go back to Terry Fontenot's press conference right before the draft, the day before, and he had said, and this really didn't get picked up that much until after the Penix pick, it was just because we have Kirk on our roster doesn't mean we're not closed off from adding another quarterback. That was out there. That was apparent. So, yeah, everyone had gone and said, okay, edge rusher, Raheem Morris coming in, switching from 4-3 to 3-4. They need edge rusher, you know, they made moves, but there were a couple of holes that they needed filled. But I don't think there was anything glaring. And the fact that they went and got Michael Penix, they look at this and say, last year we were battling for a playoff spot with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke to the last week of the season. Well, just a reminder, those two names are Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, and they were still in a playoff race with wildly inefficient quarterbacks. You go get Kirk Cousins, a 36-year-old guy coming off an Achilles. We have no clue how he's going to be. They were going, we don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. He can only do dropbacks right now. Said that recently on a podcast. Cannot escape the pocket. You do not want to be in a position where he goes down early or isn't ready, or you're out of the race altogether very quickly because he's not playing well. They are in a much better position at quarterback today than they were last year. And they're in a...
Did we lose Luke?
Nope, that wouldn't be us. I'll be on his end. Don't worry, John O'Leary. All right, so we lost Luke there. Hopefully we were able to get him back. But that was a great explanation that I hadn't even thought about that side of things, ladies. The Kirk Cousins health factor. I think that that's part of this. But
why give him a 4-year deal if you're not sure about his health?
And
That's the only. I liked
money.
the pick. Yeah, I liked the pick as far as what the Falcons have decided to do. But my criticism, my criticism is just the 4 years.
Yes, we have Luke back. So let's get Luke back. Continue your thoughts, sir. But we were just commenting. You brought up a great point. We really haven't talked about the health of Kirk Cousins. I think the spin zone following this selection by the Falcons has been, well, he's the quarterback of the future. Look at what the Packers have done throughout the last 20-plus years.
Yeah, I think you're going into it, and I think the masses are going in going, oh, we got Kirk. This is going to be the same thing as Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady. Going to get one of these guys. He's going to be around for a couple years. Everything's fine. Well, maybe, but Kirk Cousins is 36, coming off the injury. Like, we don't know a guy that's not very mobile to begin with as a quarterback, who's going to be playing behind an improved offensive line, but does have some issues at right tackle. Caleb McGarry, Storm Norton, they kind of played that revolving door at times last year. They've done that the last few years. That's not a great place for Kirk Cousins to want to walk into. And again, he can only take dropbacks right now. Said that recently on a podcast, cannot escape the pocket. Now, we're 3.5 months away from training camp, 5 months to the start of the season. A lot can happen. He's going to get healthier. He's going to rehab. But again, we just don't know. So you get a guy in Penix who, again, people were bringing this up, his injury history too. That would have been the place where I said, instead of going to get an edge rusher like they were all talking about, I would have boosted the offensive line, specifically that right tackle spot. But again, you value the most important position in sports. It's been something that's lacking since Matt Ryan left. They've tried to patchwork it. They didn't. They have a really good plan now in place for not just these, let's call it what it is, 2 years that it's going to be with Kirk Cousins, but beyond that as well, that they have a successor in place.
Now, when we had a viral moment when it comes to Arthur Blank and the conversation after the pick, and obviously everyone immediately just is kind of like, okay, he looks like he had no idea that was going to happen. What were your thoughts on that video and kind of what was going down after the moment that Penix was selected?
I didn't really have a ton of thoughts on it. I think it was just a snapshot moment of, okay, they're just explaining it or they're talking about something else. Because Arthur Blank's sitting in the room, he knows it. They've had those conversations. The thing that needs to be kept in mind is the Falcons haven't been exactly A+ at communication. That is something that needs to be reiterated when Arthur Smith was fired in New Orleans Sunday night, early January. The press release came out that decision had been made by a lot of people, that discussion happened late that night with Arthur. Not in that discussion was Terry Fontenot, the general manager, who was the guy seen in that video talking to Arthur Smith. Next press release comes out about what they're going to do in the process and everything. And it doesn't say Terry Fontenot is going to be in the process. It doesn't say he had a say in the matter. So there have been all these things back and forth, and it comes with the Belichick cycle and everything with that as well. There was a question over Rich McKay, team president, Arthur Blank's right-hand man, who's been with him for a very long time, come from Tampa to Atlanta. There's that relationship. There's back and forth. There's a lot of information out there. Well, he's in charge, and he runs the show, but he doesn't, and Bill Belichick is. So there was, from a PR standpoint, there weren't a lot of questions answered about communication, about workflow within that front office, within that hierarchy. So it is something that needs to be noted. Terry Fontenot now has spoken more. He's been more vocal these last few months than he was at all last season. I think that's a big shift in what they're doing. I think this is the pick that he truly wanted to make because he wanted to set up his plan. And I do think it's the decision that Arthur Blank wanted to make. He has made no secret about this, that he's in his 80s. This is, the last stretch run for him. He wants to see a title. He's going to try and do everything he can to get that done. So if he wants to come and throw a little weight around, I think that's probably what happened in that one too. But I think him and Terry were definitely on the same page.
Look, what's fascinating to me is no one's talking about how good of a quarterback Michael Penix Jr. actually is. Everyone's talking about Kirk's reaction, and I can't believe the Falcons did this. At the end of the day, I think Atlanta got a really good quarterback.
I think they did too. I mean, I think they got a guy that fits what they're going to want to do with Zach Robinson. I mean, last year, they could not push the ball downfield. They would have some moments where Kyle Pitts would break open with some great play design. Drake London was excellent at winning 50-50 balls, but those are their weapons. Those were it from a pass game standpoint. So now you've made some moves this offseason. Drake is still emerging as a top wide receiver in this league. You had Darnell Mooney. You had Rondale Moore. Still a couple more days of the draft to go. And you got a guy in Michael Penix that is incredibly accurate at throwing the 9 routes out the sideline. I mean, he is fantastic with it. It's going to open up the playbook. And he's going to have a guy that can mentor him. And one last point on the communication. That's, the big point that I was leading up to and then never made was over the Falcons never telling Kirk. We're talking about an organization that's probably going to lose a draft pick for tampering because they had no issues talking with him before free agency opened, before the league year happened, about coming here. And then when it's the most important decision, we're getting, again, all of these different reports inside and out of, well, Kirk was told that this might happen, but then Kirk wasn't told on draft night too. Well, he wasn't told at all, and he was blindsided, and he was a little bit ticked off by it. Not great on that front. Not what you want to do, specifically when this guy who has connections to Atlanta, who wanted to be here, who has spent 6 off seasons here, who's just moved out of his in-laws' basement because they finally found a house in the area, made so many moves to get to Atlanta and want to be here. And then they say, oh, yeah, by the way, we did this. Hope you're cool with it. You can say what you want about it, that he's got, 9 figures that he'll be comfortable with. It's just not a great look to do that. When the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, they let Alex Smith know. Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, different story. And we saw how that went.
Right on cue, Luke. Mike McCartney, the agent for Kirk Cousins, released a statement through the NFL Network about an hour ago. And so the spin zone, the damage control, it has already begun. You can find Luke on Twitter at LHSportsTV. Again, he is covering all things Atlanta now, but he previously worked for Spectrum Orlando. And so, RJ, I think you need to do a little song. Producer RJ, are you prepared to sing a little song for Luke?
Can you play that tune, please?
Yeah? I think he's ready for this. Oh, he's looking for it. Real quick, just a couple words, Luke, on the Magic, who we'd be remiss if we didn't give a round of applause and a congratulations on a stunning playoff victory last night.
That was the Magic's Roman Empire. I mean, that was big last night. They needed that one. Look, just this is their ceiling, is the first round for this team, in my opinion. I still think Cleveland wins this series. I think they probably win it in 6 games. But for all the pent-up rage that this fan base has had, all the frustration of not being a good offensive team, not getting into the playoffs, missing on a lot of picks, going through another rebuild since Dwight when they traded away Vooch, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon. It was a great moment for them last night. This is something that they built towards. They're clearly not a finished product. They struggle to score the basketball. Last night was a little bit of an outlier on both sides, but there's a chance they can win this series. Cleveland is the better team. They have more weapons, but Jamal Mosley is a hard coach to try and scheme against. So I think this is going to be a fun series, but for the moment, play that song.
What better way to send you off?
You can't see me. I'm dancing. Go off.
The super sub dancing away. John O'Leary, our engineer, is dancing next to me. We appreciate you joining us from the ATL, my friend, on the All Pro Roofing Hotline. Enjoy the rest of what I'm sure will be a not-so-controversial weekend up in Atlanta.
You as well. Thank you, as always, for the time, both you, Mia, as I always say, ma'am, and say hi to Terrence.
Ma'am! There he goes, Luke Hetrick. Again, you can find him LH Sports TV. We have another guest coming up that Taylor has lined up for us as we look at the NFL Draft Big Picture. Yes?
Yes, big picture draft.
Eric Eager going to join us as we continue to break down the first round, look ahead to the second and third rounds tonight. We are live at Players Grill Mandarin. This is Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Take Jacksonville with you.
There's no place like home.
Listen to 1010XL away from home.
Oh, but anyway, Toto, we're home. Home.
Download the 1010XL and XL 92.5 FM apps for free on Apple and Android devices.
Hey, I know we love our happy hours, but have you been to Mr. Chubby's Wings for lunch lately?
Yep, their new specials are awesome. I eat lunch there all the time.
I went this week and got wings, a drink, and chips for $8.
As usual, the best prices in town. You can't hardly find anyone doing $8 lunch anymore.
I know. I'm saving my money for the weekends with $8 lunch specials.
Save your money for the weekends. Enjoy $8 lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. 3 locations serving you for all sports all year. Mr. Chubby's Wings, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mia here. We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. And don't forget, the MyBookie Sportsbook is also here to save the day. Right now, the NBA playoffs are heating up, and I love the Indiana Pacers. Yes, I'm saying it again. I'm going out on a limb. I'm picking my guy, Tyrese Halliburton, and the Pacers to cover a 6-point spread. I do think those Bucks get it done tonight. But hey, I'm picking Indiana to cover, and so can you. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, whether it's casino or NBA, only with MyBookie.
If you're ready to upgrade your home's backyard living appeal and just need some design inspiration, let the experts at Art of Natural Stone make your outdoor living perfect. Known for summer kitchens, gazebos, pavers, patios, and pool decks using all natural stone. All the custom elements you need for a first-class professional design, and they do installation. Open to the public on Phillips Highway and on Beach Boulevard. Find ideas online at artofnaturalstone.com.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows K-12 head football coach Aaron Beasley here. Come out to celebrate the grand opening of our new track and football field. Two-time Super Bowl winning coach Gerald Ingram, former NFL kicker Mike Hollis, and other former NFL athletes are excited to see you there. Food trucks, bounce houses, DJ Barracuda, raffles, and giveaways. Free event this Saturday from 11 to 2. Full details at baymeadowscharter.org. Join me, Aaron Beasley, and my friends this Saturday.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700, offices Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Jacksonville, Florida. On Saturday, April 27th, All Elite Wrestling presents Collision. For the first time ever, live from Daly's Place. Get the feeling. Witness professional wrestling's biggest stars bring the fight on Saturday night.
I'm about to show them all what elite really looks like, bruv.
AEW Collision, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets on sale now at AEWTIX.com.
1010XL is the home of Gator Nation and the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. I'm Hacker, and we keep you connected with the University of Florida all year long. Get Gator Bites where you find podcasts.
Consider a high-quality metal roof from Prime Roofing for your next roof. Their in-house fabricated metal roofs last longer, reduce cooling costs, and are recyclable. If you want a smarter roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate at primeroofingfl.com.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
Elevate your party game to the next level with Mystic Cornhole Company. Visit their showroom now on the corner of Hogan and Parental Home Road. It's your one-stop destination for all things cornhole. MysticCornhole.com.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If you've played sports or still lead an active life, chances are joint pain is nothing new. This is Dr. George Barry of Barry Orthopedics, and we like to be your option when it comes to taking care of your body and getting back in the game. From shoulders to elbows to hip and knee pain, Barry Orthopedics can diagnose and treat a variety of injuries that are causing you pain. We are Barry Orthopedics and online at barryorthopedics.com. With more than 30 years of experience, our team is here to care for your entire family.
Find out more at barryorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
All right, we are out here at Players Grill in Mandarin, continuing on our draft day talk. Some super exciting stuff happened yesterday. Obviously, most Jags fans very happy about Brian Thomas Jr. Some wild things up top that kind of shifted the board for the rest of the time. So we are being joined right now by Eric Eager of Sumer Sports. If you've I've had him on a few times. He was on the kickoff show with me during the season. He was on the drill one morning with me during the season. He also just made the pick for the Chiefs yesterday, or Wednesday, which was correct, getting Xavier Worthy, giving another weapon to Patrick Mahomes. But Eric, thanks for hopping on with me.
Hey, it's good to be on.
So let's just get first to the chaos that feels like it pivoted and kind of shifted everything for the rest of the draft, and that's the Atlanta Falcons selecting Michael Penix Jr. And I know you have a relationship with former GM Dimitroff. You guys do a podcast together, so I know you have some insight in that realm. But what were your thoughts of that? Was there any indication that that's the route they were going?
It's funny because I don't think many people thought that they were going to go quarterback. I thought it was always edge, and it was going to be Latu or Dallas Turner, both guys who fell about 10 more picks. Thomas, though, being close there, he still talks to Arthur Blank quite a bit as far as they're just friends off the field here. He always kind of looked at me and kind of hinted that there was a chance that they could go quarterback. I was of the ilk, and I posted a few of these mock drafts, that they would have to go up and get somebody like J.J. McCarthy if they wanted to get a first-round talent there. But they kind of surprised us all with Michael Penix.
The Penix thing is interesting because unlike McCarthy, he's a little bit older. He's 24 years old. He has some of the injury history, of course. And, the Kirk Cousins thing, I think, muddies the waters a little bit. Penix feels like a guy that you would draft to play right away versus a guy like McCarthy who you would draft to sit, which I think is Minnesota's going to do after taking him at 10. So it was just kind of interesting. I wasn't as surprised they took quarterback as I was which quarterback, and I think most people agree with that. People had Penix kind of going in the late first, maybe even out of the first round in general, so it was a very big surprise by Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, and Zach Robinson is the offensive coordinator there.
Eric, like you alluded to, I think that big picture, the Penix selection, and we just had Luke Hetrick from Atlanta on, and he was explaining to us that, yes, like it surprised a lot of people in Atlanta. It's probably the biggest overall surprise. Was there another point for you, though, another selection or maybe run on a position that you didn't expect last night?
I didn't think Brock Bowers would go to the Raiders. That one was interesting. They took Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, the previous year. So I think Bowers falls into a really good spot because, most of the time when tight ends get taken in round one, they fail in large part because they're asked to do too many things. And then, like Evan Engram with the Jaguars, they go to a second team and they're kind of asked to do, when they go to the second team with the tail between their legs, they find a good role for that player. And Engram, of course, has been a good player for the Jags. And, there's countless first-round tight ends that end up being better for the second team than the team that originally took them. But I think in the case of Bowers, he's going to go and only have to play half of the tight end position for the Raiders, which I think will make him more valuable because he'll avoid some of the things like blocking and line of scrimmage stuff at 243. That is going to be hard for him. The problem is I think that it's still, if you're going to draft a player in the first round, he's only going to play half the snap. That's a questionable thing. So that was a very interesting pick from my perspective.
Let's get to the Jaguars. Eric Eager of Sumer Sports joining us. What did you think about Balky trading down and getting Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU, with pick 23?
Well, the trade down was great. I mean, they picked up about 3/8 of a win. When I was at PFF, we kind of came up with what every pick was worth in terms of wins. And so usually when you trade back, you generally pick up more than you gain, and they got multiple picks next year's draft that are day 3 and even a day 2 pick. So that's good business for the Jags, independent of who they take. And then they ended up, and I know there was some medicals on Brian Thomas, but they ended up with a receiver who I think was very clearly the fourth one in the class where there was 3 kind of blue chip players, and then he was the next player. He gets open. He had 87 targets last year only, but he turned them into 17 touchdowns. And so, you think about why Jaden Daniels improved so much from Arizona State to LSU. It was very much because he had not only Neighbors but also Thomas. So I think that's a great pickup. I think he complements their receiving core quite a bit now.
I will say Eric texted me right when they made the pick saying, good pick. And I was like, okay, we can calm down a little bit for some people. But, Eric, when we're looking ahead now, going into, let's say, round 2, 3, 4, just because a lot of people do say there is a drop-off kind of close to after that. But when the Jags now are looking ahead, cornerback, interior offensive line, maybe some interior defensive line, who are some guys that you can see them targeting that would fit that position group and even add some good value for Balky and the Jags?
Yeah, it's interesting. It depends upon kind of how much they want to move up. I mean, Jerry Newton from Illinois slid into the second round, which I think was a surprise for many, but there were rumors that was going to happen. Cooper DeJean from Iowa is also there as well. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner from Alabama. Terrion Arnold went later. He went 24. McKinstry, his teammate, fell out of round 1 entirely as well. So that's another position where, the Jags get some value. And there's obviously running backs. I know they took Tank Bigsby last year, and they have Travis Etienne, who kind of fell off a little bit efficiency-wise. There still hasn't been a running back taken. There still hasn't been a safety taken. There still hasn't been a linebacker taken, and only one tight end taken. So if the Jags fancy any of those positions, those guys are going to be at the top of the class if they take them in rounds 2 or 3.
Eric, before we let you go on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline, let's talk corners specifically. When it comes to the Ryan Nielsen style of defense that he's going to be implementing here in Jacksonville, more of that press man defense, who's a pick for you that you foresee being there at 48, being there in those early 40s, even if the Jags are to trade up? Or are you in the camp of you can find great value at 96 late in that third round and find a starting press man corner?
Yeah, I would more wait a little bit just because at that particular, I think you're not going to be able to get DeJean or McKinstry. DeJean's more of a zone guy, and that's why people have like kind of wanted to make him safety, and maybe probably why he fell out of round 1. But somebody like DJ James from Auburn, who's a taller guy, 6'1", kind of in that 170, 180 range, kind of long rangey player. Like he's probably going to be available, round 3 or 4. That's been kind of my favorite corner, just having watched him play in the SEC a little bit, looking at some of his numbers. That would be one that makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I think that they can wait a little bit now because, there's 2 or 3 guys that'll probably go within the first 10 to 15 picks of today. And then after that, it does fall off a little bit. And then you're just picking from your board based upon your scheme and things like that.
Speaking of scheme, I feel like Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver out of Florida, heading to San Francisco, is going to be in such a great system. What do you think about one of the local guys?
That one was interesting because I think that they probably tried to trade the pick and then just took the player they wanted all along, and that's oftentimes going to result in what people call a reach. But, yeah, if he goes in there and, we'll see what happens with Ayuk, but he'll go in there. They have Samuel Ayuk. They have Jawan Jennings on a restricted free agent tenure. So there's position. There's a place to play for him initially, even if they keep both of their wide receivers. And right now, in the betting markets, both Ayuk and Samuel, there's some support for them being traded today. And you think about maybe Carolina at pick 39 or something like that, wanting to go and get one of those receivers. So, yeah, he'll play right away, and I think he'll be pretty productive. Shanahan does a pretty good job with those players.
Eric, before we let you go, final one. When we look at the AFC South in general, and we've talked a ton about how it seemed to have got more competitive, faster than what a lot of Jags fans maybe thought it was going to be yesterday. Tennessee taking J.C. Latham, Indy taking Latu. What are your thoughts on the AFC South in general and those couple picks that happened there?
The AFC South is growing because you have a combination of great quarterback play in Stroud and possibly Richardson, and obviously Lawrence is quite a good quarterback as well. And you have great coaching. Shane Steichen is, I think, a phenomenal head coach, and I think AFC South people really like Brian Callahan, or dislike him because of how good he is. Brian Callahan, the son of Bill Callahan in Tennessee. So if you're the Jags, you're thinking, okay, how do we keep up? You have to support Trevor Lawrence. Well, you got Brian Thomas yesterday. And I think that Doug Peterson has to kind of turn back the clock back to how he performed in 2022, bringing this team from 3-7 to the playoffs, and then back to when he was the Eagles coach, where he took Carson Wentz to a Super Bowl, Nick Foles and Carson Wentz to a Super Bowl, and that's really what they're up against. It's a tough division because where it's most important in football, which is head coach and quarterback, these teams check a lot of boxes.
All right, Eric, we really appreciate it. Have fun tonight and tomorrow.
You too. Take care.
Thanks so much, Eric Eager, Sumer Sports. It's always a lot of work when you're a draftnik this time of year. We are live here at Players Grill Mandarin, and I want to tell you they have live music all the time, starting with tonight. Claire Vandiver performs at 8 o'clock. The Boogie Freaks tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. I love the Boogie Freaks. If you've never seen them and you like disco, be sure to check them out as well. We've got trivia every Tuesday, 75-cent wings every Wednesday, and this is the place to watch, of course, the draft, plus the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, and UFC. So a lot going on. And just a reminder, it is Feel Good Friday today, so submit your Feel Good Fridays via the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, the YouTube chat line, the MyBookie Digital Studio. However, you can tweet them to us. We will get them on air. We will give you our Feel Good Fridays coming up at 1 o'clock. We're going to break down more of the players we like at 48 when we return. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Wonder what Rick Ballou would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
So you had a fight with a game show host on national TV. I don't consider that entertainment.
Rick Ballou.
This is not hockey.
Weeknights on 1010XL.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Are you looking for quality tires that won't break the bank? Well, Big Chief Tire has you covered. Frank Frangie here. Get $50 off a new set of tires, and for even greater savings, finance with the CFNA card to receive an additional $50 off your first purchase and no interest for 6 months. Schedule an appointment today at BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 and take advantage of these incredible deals. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
Did you know that a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. primeroofingfl.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and Triumph is such a beautiful ride. But, Greg, you're telling me that there's a price point that's going to invite even more potential buyers.
There is. There's 2 new models, both of them under $6,000, one of them under $5,000. Great motorcycle, same Triumph quality and design. You got to come see it.
And it still's that big bike underneath you.
It is. It's a good-looking bike and all Triumph.
You can log on cyclesofjacksonville.com or visit the showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 26, 1931, Lou Gehrig hits a home run but is called for passing a runner, costing him the home run crown. Him and Babe Ruth tied for the season.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Friday on The Frangie Show. Tune in for the House Call segment brought to you by Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Rehab. Join the discussion as a JOI expert tells you about total knee replacements. JOI, where the pros go.
AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher that offers take-and-bake side options that are oven-ready.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
What are the only 2 cities to host 3 editions of the Olympic Games?
Southern Oak Insurance knows that you want to save money on your homeowner's insurance. So why not try some old-fashioned common sense? Ask your Southern Oak agent about our roof replacement schedule. It will save you money.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
With Paris hosting the 2024 Summer Olympics, they join London as the only other city to host 3 different Olympics.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally, hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, live here at Players Grill Mandarin. We are having an absolute blast, and I know everybody who's hanging out today is as well. Taylor, you were just looking over the menu. What are you going to order?
I was actually looking at the BLT.
Okay.
I got wings yesterday because the wings I heard are delicious, but I just had wings yesterday, so I think I might switch it up.
And you were also just told that Coach
Frickles,
Campo...
and we're getting
Yes,
frickles.
we are getting frickles. That's
Which are
their
fried
version.
pickles.
I
Yes,
love
fried
that word.
pickles.
Not a glizzy.
You were also... Look, we're speaking like the kids right now.
I asked several family members last night if they'd ever heard of glizzy, and every single one said absolutely not.
It's so funny. I did a Twitter poll, and it was like almost 70% said yes. And I was like, I have a lot of Chicago followers, so I was like, maybe it's that.
I just informed you as well that Coach Campo believes that the Players Grill's BLT is the greatest BLT he's ever had. So,
and if Campo says it, I believe it.
If Campo says it, it must be true. Which our thanks to him for joining us at Mr. Chubby's yesterday, and then we are live at Players Grill Mandarin today.
All right, I'm going to give you one player that I want the Jaguars to select at 48. I don't know if he'll be on the board tonight when they make that selection, so they might have to trade up. But again, this is just the guy I want, and then I'll be really happy since I wanted Brian Thomas Jr. Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle out of Houston.
Okay.
I didn't want tackle at 17, but I love tackle, whether it's 48, 96, because of the future, like we've talked about. They've got the guys here for just one more year in Cam Robinson, Walker Little. They've got Anton Harrison for quite some time, but you need two tackles. Certainly depth at that position. So I like Patrick Paul. Who's a guy you like, Mia?
I was just going to say this is not who I would pick at 48, but just to throw the name out there. If you are interested in offensive tackle, 48 or 96, the name you should watch for the Jaguars is Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, I like Blake Fisher.
If they, and that is if they are to go best player available. We heard Trent Baalke say at the pre-draft availability, if they're selecting best player available, but there's a quote-unquote tie, which I would envision, and they go for the need, you're going to look at corner, you're going to look at probably defensive line more than you are tackle, unless, of course, which we threw out there yesterday, you are to have a suitor for Cam Robinson, and if you were to flip Cam Robinson, recoup some of the money back from his deal, then I do think that an offensive tackle could be in play, in which case I would say Blake Fisher would be the name to watch out of Notre Dame. My name to watch for is, I'm going to give you two.
All right.
But they're the same position. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Enos Rakestraw, Mizzou.
I was about to say Rakestraw. You had Tampa in one of your...
Yes, in my mock draft Mondays. Yeah. Yes, I did have TJ Tampa, who I believe if they stay put at 48, I believe could be the pick. In speaking with Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson last night, they did try to trade back into the end of the first round to, of course, acquire that all-important fifth-year option on the players they select. They were unsuccessful in doing so, and so I can't help but feel like the player they were trying to move up for is one of those two. Now, with that said, as multiple best available, whether it's ESPN, Daniel Jeremiah with the NFL Network, or even The Athletic, I've seen that their best two players available are Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. We just heard Eric Eager, which our thanks to him again for joining us. He also referenced those two players. And I do believe the consensus would tell you those are the two best players on the board. I don't know how the Jaguars feel about either, but I can tell you that
you just don't like the fit with Cooper DeJean?
Yeah, I mean, like somebody asked me yesterday, they were like, what do you think of Cooper DeJean? I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, he could be one of the best 5 players to come out of this class overall, but I'm unsure about his fit with the Jaguars. So it's just that simple. He did not play that much press man corner at Iowa. Do I believe he can? Because I watched him play in high school and I know just what a freak athlete he is. Yes, I do believe he has that capability. He is a football junkie. You ask this kid what his hobbies are, and he straight up says watching tape, hanging out in the locker room. Like those are the things he's not, that's not an act. He's not saying it with a wink and a smile. Like that is literally just who he is. He's from a town of 900 people. He went to a high school that they had to combine 6 towns in order to form a high school. Like this is this kid's life. So if you're looking for a guy who's all ball, and also who can play multiple positions, and be an all-world returner, he's a great fit. But I just don't know how he fits to Ryan Nielsen's scheme.
Well, here's what Dane Brugler of The Athletic has to say about Patrick Paul, the tackle that I like. Here's the key. He has the size and length. The size and length. What do we know that Trent Baalke loves?
Yeah, size and length.
All right. By the way, it also says he might require a redshirt year. Well, that also works perfectly well in the way the Jaguars are right now. We'll get who Taylor wants at 48 when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 2.5 FM. And oh, by the way, Feel Good Friday. Submit yours now.
Belly up to the bar and talk about your team.
You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Jacksonville's Sports Radio, 1010XL, where friends meet. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is teaming up with the NFL to inspire change. From now to draft day, Big Brothers Big Sisters is following the NFL draft, aiming to recruit potential bigs. Hi, I'm Brent from the 1010 sales team. I'm committed as a mentor, and we need you to step up and become a mentor too. There's a waiting list of more than 50 children hoping for a mentor. It's just a few hours a month. Be a mentor. Become a big. Visit bbbsnefl.org. Be a mentor or visit Big Brothers Big Sisters and click on Big Draft.
Best Bet is number one. That's right. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine have one-card poker. The fastest and easiest card game to learn and play. Play one card at a time, and the highest card wins even money. If the card values are the same, it's time for war. Just like the game you remember. You must be 18 years or older to play. More at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
This is Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics. The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics now. They've got 2 great locations. Call for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. And go see them, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. You can get in. They've got availability. You need to give them a call. Stop dealing with pain in your hips and your shoulders and your knees. Steroids, surgery, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. Give QC Kinetics a call today. Again, 904-274-5522. Go see them in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. That's QC Kinetics.
Tired of dealing with clogged drains? What about those bad smells coming from your pipes? No matter how big or small your commercial or residential project may be, my friends at Duck Duck Rooter can handle it. Contact them today for all your plumbing, septic, and air conditioning needs at 904-862-6769. And while I have your attention, Duck Duck Rooter is also hiring plumbers. They offer excellent weekly pay, health insurance, paid holidays, 401k, and more. Apply now at duckduckrooter.com and they will call you for an interview.
Life isn't the same without live music. Players Grill Mandarin has Samuel Sanders performing covers and original music this Saturday at 8 p.m. Jam out with this local singer-songwriter while enjoying tasty food everyone can enjoy. Players Grill Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Window Gain Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars select LSU's wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. as the number 23rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft after trading back from pick 17. General Manager Trent Baalke spoke on the confidence in this pick.
Brian's a young man that I think he had 22 targets, over 20-plus yards, and scored 15 touchdowns on those. So he's an explosive athlete. He can help open up the field a little bit. Certainly for a younger receiver, for Trevor to build around and our offense to build around. So there were a lot of positives to the pick. A lot of time and energy went into it. So feel good about where we're at.
It's 82 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
This is a perfect feel-good Friday song, isn't it?
It is. I love this.
It is Feel Good Friday. That means we want to know what is making you smile and feel good this Friday. I will start us off with the fact that we're live here at Players Grill Mandarin, and they have live music all the time. Claire Vandiver performs tonight at 8 o'clock. Boogie Freaks here tomorrow night. They always wear those awesome wigs, which I love. They've got trivia every Tuesday, 75-cent wings every Wednesday, and of course this is the place to watch the draft, NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, UFC. We were just chatting about how lovely it is that they've got the indoor-outdoor seating here. The outdoor seating is still under a canopy, so you don't even have to bring the sunscreen. It is absolutely awesome.
Over 30 TVs in here, minimum.
Yep.
I mean, so many TVs, which is obviously good when you're wanting to watch sports. But we have Christian Kirk behind us, a Trevor Lawrence over there, Duval's.
Not the actual
Yeah,
Christian
they're not actually
Kirk
here.
or Trevor Lawrence. I don't want
Come on down.
people to come here thinking we have that, but we do have the cutouts.
And they even have the ability to put the MyBookie Digital Studio live stream
That's
up on
right.
the TVs too. So round
So
of
that-
round of applause for the whole team here at Players Grill, RJ, because they're pushing our live stream as well to the good people of Mandarin.
And yes, like I said, it is Feel Good Friday, so RJ, take it away.
It's a feel-good Friday.
We're going to have a good time together.
And that would be good.
So good.
Text or tweet something that makes you feel good today.
I hear good things. Really good things.
Around here, it is always a Feel Good Friday. And by the way, I don't know if y'all are keeping track, but this is a whole month of doing Helmets and Heels.
I was thinking about that
4
on the ride
weeks
here.
in the books, ladies, and cheers to many, many more, and certainly cheers to the freaking weekend also. Taylor, kick us off with what is making you feel good this Friday.
So I could go multiple ways with this today.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the Bears yet at all, so if you want to go that direction.
Yeah, I was like, we could go multiple ways with this. I want to, number one, give a shout-out to Submarine Mike over here. Diehard, and since day one, Iceman season ticket holder, and he has his sign. If you've ever been to an Iceman game, you've seen him up front. He's always behind the penalty box, heckling all of the guys that get penalties on opposing teams by writing some pretty funny little.
And now it lights up, by the way.
It
That's
has some
been an
lights.
added addition
feature
over the years.
And obviously the Icemen are playing tonight on the road. They're up 2-1, so hopefully they can come back with a couple more. Honestly, let's just end it down there. That'd be kind of fun. Let's just end it. Come back and
on
go
road
around
ice. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, road ice. So I could go that route because obviously I've talked about on here how much I love the Jacksonville Icemen, and I could go Roma Dunze. I've been manifesting that since the beginning of January because I have been literally obsessed with this guy forever. And when the Atlanta Falcons picked,
obsessed in a healthy football fashion.
Kind of, honestly.
Well,
borderline getting a little crazy for a minute. So I was ecstatic when I saw Atlanta. I was sharing this story with you guys for a minute because my phone was ahead of the stream, and so I was ignoring my phone because I didn't want to get the picks ahead of time. I was like, I want to see this
unlike
live
the rest of America.
Yeah, I'm like, I wanted to watch the actual stream of the NFL draft and get it that way. But I accidentally looked at the phone, and when I did, it said Atlanta Falcons draft Michael Penix, and my heart just like dropped. But I'm not even going to go that route. I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs because unfortunately we lost Cody Bellinger. He got hurt, has some fractured ribs. He's out for a little while, possibly until sometime in June. They called up Pete Crow Armstrong, who we got in a trade with the Mets a while back. We've been waiting for PCA to get up for a while. He came up for a little bit last year. It wasn't too great. He's a great center fielder, but wasn't able to get any hits. He got his first major league hit, which was a 3-run home run to sweep the Astros. And so I was fired up. I was pumped. Go PCA. And that's my Feel Good Friday.
I like how your Feel Good Friday really was Roma Dunze. I'm going to get to point C by way of point A and point B, but really the fact that you got Roma Dunze, you knew you were getting Caleb, and so I knew you were happy last night.
Oh my gosh.
And manifested.
Yes.
You weren't the only one.
I put it into the universe.
I know
very
Robert
hard.
Mays on the Athletic Football Show said the same thing as a Bears fan. Like, you guys have, like, quietly been manifesting for weeks.
Yeah.
And then it actually
Caleb
happened.
Williams was. They were on a flight together. They were playing catch together.
Right.
Caleb made a lot of comments. It was all of this stuff. I was like, Caleb Williams helped us too, so shout out.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel as far as like the manifesting. Like, this is the player I wanted for months, and then you see the
Just
trade
speak it,
back,
just speak
and
it.
so it's like, okay, are they still going to get the guy that I know a lot of people wanted? Mia, how about you? Feel Good Friday today.
Yes. Well, needless to say, I will be working on the weekend like usual, in the words of a certain artist, and that's A-okay because, of course, it's draft weekend. But
Do you know who sings that song?
Yes, it would be Drake.
You're talking about that one.
Yeah. Who'd you think?
Oh, see, I think of the old one.
No,
Lover Boy.
Oh.
Everybody's working for the weekend.
No,
you know that song, right?
Yeah, but working on the weekend like usual is actually a Drake lyric.
I believe you.
I am correct. Okay. All right. I had to look at John O'Leary and make sure I was correct in saying that. So needless to say, caffeine will be consumed this weekend. I don't know how, but I have now been living about a mile from a Dunkin' Donuts for almost 7 months. And, like, as someone who, of course, grew up in the Northeast, like, going to Dunkin' is, like, a daily occurrence, especially when I was at Ithaca College. We literally went every morning. But I had not been once to my local Dunkin'.
Really?
I had $20 on the gift card, though, and as I was leaving the house this morning, I was like, yeah, it's time to treat yourself. And so
What'd you get?
I actually got, thank you for asking, Taylor, I got their new churro flavor, the limited edition, because, again, it's a Feel Good Friday, and it's draft weekend, and I said, you know what, I'm going to treat myself to a little something, and
Churros are hot lately. Have you
yes.
noticed this?
Oh, across the board.
Yes.
Even at the Guggen, too.
At the Guggen, there was churros.
Yes.
Popular is
Dunkin'
what you mean
Donuts.
by hot, not like,
We're really speaking like the kids today, so
And, yes,
no cap.
I saw yesterday Subway has foot-long churros now.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
So churros are
interesting.
The it thing.
My other Feel Good Friday is that, in good news, we'll talk about this next Feel Good Friday as well. Not that we're going to bore you with my sister's wedding details, but both Lauren and Taylor and John have been subjected to hearing about some of the details. And the church ceremony is next weekend, so I'll be on a flight after Helmets and Heels next week. And she did, round of applause, RJ, they did get the marriage license this morning.
Oh,
so
that's kind of important before you get married.
Got the picture, so very, very happy for Cobb and KV, and
Have we had Bridezilla?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that came out last week, but it wasn't even about the wedding's good.
Yeah.
Bachelorette, I'm in charge of. We're good. Mm-hmm. My mom's gonna get mad, but I'm gonna say it. It's the shower.
Oh
yeah. I've been like venting to a lot of people. I didn't know that bridal showers would be like the
chaotic.
pivot point that like sends someone over the edge.
You never know when it comes to brides what's going to upset them. Feel Good Friday, I got two. One I think is very obvious. Brian Thomas Jr., now a Jacksonville Jaguar, 4.33 speed in case you missed it. He's a big receiver, possession guy. He's going to be fantastic in this offense. And I do think the offense is going to be far more vertical than what we've seen with Gabe Davis, certainly stretching the field. And with
Zay,
Brian Thomas Jr. and a healthy Zay, a healthy Christian Kirk. Like, now, yes, you have a lot more options for Press Taylor if he's the one calling those plays. My other Feel Good Friday is happening on Sunday, the opening of the Beaches. Opening of the Beaches parade from 2 to 3 p.m. As we always talk about in my household, there's no closing of the beaches.
Yeah,
the beaches are always open, but this weekend is always fun because it is a parade. So for kids, if you've never been, it's a lot of fun out there at the beach. And so looking forward to that. And I have been so incredibly busy that I have not even checked the weather for this weekend, but I am happy to report now that I'm doing it. Yes, highs in the low 80s and then lows in the 60s. So that is literally dialed up perfectly.
Yeah, I got to walk in this morning, and I had a long sleeve shirt on, and I regretted that decision.
Oh, you always
immediately.
My suggestion for you is bring the long sleeve.
Right.
That way you can always discard, and then go down to the tank top.
As we head to the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line as well as the text line for your Feel Good Fridays, we have to start with this one. We've dubbed him the finger guy.
I did not dub him.
He also goes by George Kluval on the YouTube chat.
That's better.
He says he feels good because y'all ladies look beautiful and happy, ready to draw up the contract to remove my ring finger for a Jaguars Super Bowl win. Let's go.
For people who do not know, that's how it started. He said he would lose a finger. Yeah. Maybe an arm, I don't know, for the Jaguars to win a Super Bowl. So that's why he was dubbed the finger guy.
Yeah, we did need to clarify that. But I wonder how many Jaguars fans would fit in that category.
I think a lot.
I will lose a finger for a Jaguars Super Bowl.
A lot.
It's funny. I am obviously a diehard fan. I've grown up with the team. I went to my first game the first year that they were around with my grandfather. I am not willing, and I even have a disfigured finger from being dislocated that was not repaired properly via surgery, and I'm still wanting to keep all 10 of my fingers. But, maybe one day that's a goal.
Shave your head for a guaranteed Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. That's an easy one to me because, everyone's going to say yes to that one.
The guys I feel like is easier, but I feel like
wouldn't
still.
you for a Bears Super Bowl?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is super easy.
It'll grow back. Some wigs if
I don't have any tattoos, but even if you said you have to get a tattoo, like Harbaugh had to, once he offered that up, like I think
might
I would
pass out, but I'll do it.
Yeah, that's also true. All right, so we had Matt Moscona on last Monday when we were at the Guggen at Hidden Hills, and Matt Moscona, for people who don't know, is a fantastic sportscaster covering all things LSU, the Saints as well, but he certainly lives and breathes LSU football, LSU baseball, LSU basketball, all those things. And so Matt has a really good perspective on the Jaguars' new wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. And so
we covered in high school too, which I think is important to know.
Yeah, he covered both, I think, Neighbors and Thomas Jr. in high school. But so we talked to him specifically about Brian Thomas Jr. and that 4.33 speed.
The sub 4.4 speed surprised me, but it shows up on tape. And if I had told you the thing that maybe was a concern, it would have probably been his hands. There was a fall scrimmage they had before this past season, and Brian Thomas had about 3 drops. I mean, goal line drops. And it was one of the things that I was most interested in watching as it developed throughout the year, and there was never a shred of that. It's probably just like a bad day. It's just a bad day for him. But there aren't a lot of holes in that game, man. He's got the size, he's got hands, he's got the speed. He's going to make somebody very happy. And the other thing, too, that you always worry about is you're going to take someone in round one. It's like, is money going to change somebody, right? Like, what are you dealing with personality-wise? And I think when you go back to the recruiting story with Brian, that kind of illustrates who he is. He's just not the guy that's going to be super loud, flashy, maybe a little atypical for NFL wide receivers. But I think that's probably going to bode well for Brian Thomas at the next level.
He's going to make someone very happy. Well, that someone is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hello, we're here.
Hello, Taylor from Jacksonville. It's funny because almost identical, and I talked to somebody else on my podcast about Brian Thomas, and he said almost identical to number one when it comes to his sure hands. And he said there were moments earlier in his career where they had like slight concerns, but by the end, he had some of the best hands that he's ever seen in college football. And then he also was talking about just the personality side of it and that like the atypical part of it, but I want to say his exact words were he's going to make somebody very happy.
And that's the thing. I think when you dive into the film, you realize that this LSU offense was certainly talented across the board, but Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that he was opposite Malik Neighbors, and yet he still led the country in receiving touchdowns. Yeah. That's important to note.
I think that what's going to be most fascinating for me is that whereas Malik Neighbors, as Matt alluded to when we had him on, and I've heard it from multiple people, Malik Neighbors is the flashy, typical LSU wide receiver, personality on and off the field. Whereas Brian Thomas inherently is much more reserved, quieter, perhaps, and I saw this written up by a couple different people, including Bob McGinn of GoLong.com. He noted that some people questioned if that was the reason why it took him so long to get onto the field at LSU. Not because of the talent, but because perhaps he wasn't as aggressive, get me the ball, put me on the field like Malik Neighbors was, and was much more okay with let me wait my turn, let me learn behind guys, and just, I think that plays well in the Jaguars locker room, but I think it does beg the question of if he is your number one wide receiver, do you need to have that alpha, give it to me or else mentality? Is it something that can be developed? Is it a requirement in the NFL in 2024?
And see, I think it's great if you're coming into this team's wide receiving core.
That fits
group.
this locker room perfectly.
That's exactly what they need because they know Trevor has so many targets. They can't have one guy going, and I don't know if Ridley was like this or not, but they can't have one guy out there being like, I need the ball.
More.
Right. They have to be willing to be a part of. Like a Diggs, exactly. They have to be willing to be a part of the whole machine, and I think you need guys like that. Not necessarily just a role player. Brian Thomas Jr. could leave the Jaguars in receiving touchdowns this season as a rookie. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying he could based off of just how things go. And we know that the red zone was this area where the Jaguars struggled so much the last 2 years, really, not just even the year they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so speaking of stretching the field, I want to get Matt Moscona one more comment from him, ESPN Baton Rouge, on Brian Thomas Jr. and how he can stretch the field.
When you look at a guy that's his size, when he's 6'4", 210, I'm actually not sure what he officially weighed at the combine, but he's a big receiver. I think you would typically think that's a guy that's more of someone that Saints fans would know, a Michael Thomas mold, right? A guy that's going to go over the middle and make tough catches, which he can do. But the way that LSU used Brian Thomas was stretching the field. His ability to beat defensive backs over the top was something that I didn't know that he had, and we didn't really see until this year. So that's the thing that I think has most NFL teams intrigued with Brian Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely. Stretching the field and a comparison to Michael Thomas, I love that.
And that's one thing, Lauren, obviously, we talked about if you watched LSU football last year and you were seeing some of the throws that Jaden Daniels was making, and that's the reason he went number 2, I think, is because they were just spot on in the basket throws, and Brian Thomas was the guy who, in stride, full speed, was not dropping balls whatsoever, making these incredible catches over his shoulder. And that's just something that you also just in your mind can envision being perfect with Trevor Lawrence.
Certainly. Did either of you watch any Bill Belichick last night on the draft?
Oh, I did not.
I did not. I read, because I am a media nerd, I read Front Office Sports and Richard Deitch this morning because I was curious. Nick Saban got rave reviews as well, and also
how could he not? I mean, he coached half these
guys,
or
against them,
or recruited them, or
his on-air presence was spectacular.
Sure.
From what
it looked like he dyed his hair. That's the only thing I'll say about Saban, and that's fine.
In the 70s, he's allowed. But no, I think if you had told me 5 years ago that we were going to be living in a world where in 2024 both Bill Belichick and Nick Saban were working for ESPN doing draft coverage, I don't know if I'd believe it.
Yeah.
If you had told me a year ago, I'm not sure I would have believed it because the expectation was both of them were going to coach till they dropped.
Yeah.
And they both seem happy. And I'm happy for them because I think
they earned this.
They, to an extent, went out on their own terms. I think you could relatively say that they did. Obviously it was a mutual parting of ways in New England, but I think that
Nick definitely went out on his own.
Yeah, they've found peace, and I'm very excited for them. I'm also very excited. A late submission for Feel Good Friday.
Yes. Let's have it.
For a friend of ours, a friend of Duval, former Jaguar Austin Lane, who is going to be fighting at UFC Vegas 91 this weekend, officially weighed in at 254.5 pounds, and so no doubt he will be in the cage tomorrow.
Nice.
And it is his
awesome.
His third fight professionally. Obviously, his debut last summer in Jacksonville, the eye poke forced the suspension and a no contest. Then he lost to Justin Tafa in New Zealand, the same fighter. But he is going to get that first win tomorrow out in the desert.
Eye injuries are no joke. I can tell you that from personal experience. All right, we had also on the coverage last night C.J. Stroud, and he talked about Brian Thomas Jr. Here is Stroud.
I like this pick. I think that's something that Renner hit on the nails. They needed a down-the-field threat vertically for Trevor Lawrence. The ball gets out of his hands so fast. So I think this is good for him to finally be able to hold on to it and get it down the field. I threw with BT this offseason.
Oh, you did?
And what stood out to me was just how smooth he was. Everything looks like a go. Everything looks vertical, which is great. And he, I won't say he's exactly Chris Olave, but he has similar games. I don't think his release game is there yet. Like, he needs a lot better releases. But when he talked about speed, like, off the charts, like, that's what he reminds me of Chris. Catches with his hands. I think it's a great pick, man. I like this pick.
Yet another comp we have in the NFL, Chris Olave, a really good wide receiver, obviously out of Ohio State, who C.J. Stroud played with there. I know that some people wanted corner so bad that I feel like no matter which direction the Jaguars went, they were going to be upset. Outside of that group of people, I think everyone else is thrilled.
And even then, I mean, am I going to call him out? I'm going to call him out. Our good friend John Shipley of Jaguar Report noted, as much as he's been stumping for corner, he said, how can I critique the pick? They acquired more draft capital, and they finally have a wide receiver so that Trevor can go back to throwing moon shots down the field.
And I don't think that's calling him out, because I think he's one of the smart ones who says, I don't have to be right, even though he was predicting corner for so long, and it was a very obvious thing, too, because of Ryan Nielsen. I just think at the end of the day, when weighing everything, the Jaguars loved Thomas Jr. We know that. They loved him. They knew where they could get him, and they said Trevor's season is so incredibly important, and we believe the corner depth is there, that we'll get a good corner. I also think it tells us that they like Ronald Darby, despite what other people have said. We talked to Kadri Ismail, Rick and I did, a few weeks ago, and Kadri said that boy was balling. So I think they like what they have, and then, yes, they'll still certainly draft a corner.
I also think
I predict
that the board did fall perfectly.
Yes.
And I
thank you, Falcons.
Right,
Like
thank you, Falcons.
earlier.
Yes, of course, we started with
Yeah.
the Falcons in the 12 o'clock hour, in case you go back and listen on demand to some of our conversations with some Atlanta and national media folks. I believe Trent Baalke's been in this game for 20, almost 30 years. I believe that he had an inkling from his intel, especially if he did call Terry Fontenot and look to try to trade up to number 8, if he did speak with Ryan Poles and tried to trade into number 9, and he did speak with the Jets and had an idea who all these other teams were taking, I think he got an inkling that the defensive players would fall, and in turn the corners would fall. And so seeing just 3 corners go last night says to me that the reason the Jaguars did all their homework on those second and third round corners, and why I think you'll see one get taken either at 48, 96, somewhere in the mix tonight, is because there was an expectation that players that they have a top 60, 70 grade on are going to be there at 96 potentially.
Yeah, it certainly fell well. I think it was, I'm sure throughout Jacksonville, people were cheering every time they saw a quarterback come off the board. All right, when we return, we expect to carry Brian Thomas Jr.'s press conference live, so you will get to hear from the newest Jaguar next on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. 1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
If anything, I'm the funny one. All right, dude, let's not start with this again, okay? You're the one who just started it.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I just wish that you could say that I'm as funny as you are.
They are The Drill.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say that too.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
Tacos and sports go hand in hand, literally. You can watch the game with a taco in each hand or with a taco in one hand and a tennis racket in the other. Don here from Taco Lou in Jack's Beach. I love sports, and since you're listening to this station, you love sports as well. If you love sports and tacos, then Taco Lou is calling your name. You can watch the game here, call in a to-go order, and watch it at home. Or let us cater your next party. It's Friday, so here's to a weekend full of sports, tacos, and tequila at Taco Lou in Jack's Beach.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Breaking news, Jacksonville. Play It Again Sports is back. We are proud to be opening a brand new store on Merrill Road, but we need your help. We are currently stocking up and we need your gently used sports and fitness equipment. Play It Again Sports offers cash on the spot for all your used gear. We buy baseball, softball, football, hockey, lacrosse, golf, water sports. You name it, we buy it. Turn that gear into cash at Play It Again Sports Jacksonville on Merrill Road near 295 in the Merrill Station Shopping Plaza.
Patriot Roofing Services, specializing in all types of commercial and residential roofing and repairs, gutters, sun tubes, skylights as well. 10-year workmanship warranty, financing available, military and senior citizen discounts, no subcontractors. Mention this ad at the time of the estimate and receive $500 off any new re-roof. Call Mark today, 982-4052, 982-4052, licensed and insured.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL gives you non-stop sports talk all week.
You got a point.
And we take you into the weekend.
What's this about?
Join Compton and Company noon to 2 Saturdays for more conversation about the teams you care about most.
Oh!
On 1010XL.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows K-12 head football coach Aaron Beasley here. Come out to celebrate the grand opening of our new track and football field. Two-time Super Bowl winning coach Gerald Ingram, former NFL kicker Mike Hollis, and other former NFL athletes are excited to see you there. Food trucks, bounce houses, DJ Barracuda, raffles, and giveaways. Free event this Saturday from 11 to 2. Full details at baymeadowscharter.org. Join me, Aaron Beasley, and my friends this Saturday.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Let Hodges Mazda find the perfect Mazda SUV just for you. Lauren Brooks here. Transition from city streets to off-road trails in a newly leased 2024 Mazda CX-50 for only $316 a month, or lease the stunning 5-passenger 2024 Mazda CX-30 for only $298 a month. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first. Plus, every vehicle purchase comes with 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com for the Hodges Mazda difference. See dealer for details, lease, terms, and fees for qualified applicants. Expires April 30th, 2024.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. When getting pens with your company's logo on them, get nice pens. No one wants to steal a pen that doesn't work. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
From happy hour to late night fun, Anheuser-Busch wants to remind you it's better to take it easy and be in for the win. That means you had a good time and you got home safely. So know when to say when and be there for the next big time by designating a driver.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Little Chris Stapleton for you this Friday. And oh, by the way, if you're a Chris Stapleton fan, like I am, he has a brand new song that came out today.
He also will be here in
Called I should have known it. And yes, he will be here in 2 weeks. Next weekend, Luke Combs. That I'll give you a hint right now, Mia. It might be my Feel Good Friday for next Friday.
All right.
Because I am going to Luke Combs next Friday.
Love it.
Super excited about that. And then, like you said, Chris Stapleton comes to town the following week alongside the king of country music, George Strait. Excited about that one as well. We are live here at Players Grill Mandarin, and want to let everyone know we will carry the Brian Thomas Jr. presser here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I will tell you Claire Vandiver performs tonight here at 8 o'clock. The Boogie Freaks tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Trivia every Tuesday. 75-cent wings every Wednesday. Come watch the NBA playoffs. Come watch Major League Baseball. Come watch UFC, which we talked about earlier. And, of course, come watch the NFL draft and tons of TVs in which to do so as we await Brian Thomas Jr. at the podium.
Yes, and just a programming note, if you are watching on YouTube or if you are listening on the 1010 app, unfortunately we cannot stream there. And so what you'll have to do is you'll have to flip over to the Jaguars YouTube, X, or Facebook. They will be carrying the press conference live there. Then you come on back for the finish of Helmets and Heels once Brian Thomas Jr. does finish. The expectation is that Hayes Carline will also be one-on-one with him, and so we'll also have that interview available once we have it on not only the Frangie Show, but also on our YouTube, Facebook, other pages.
Also, while we wait for Brian Thomas Jr., Doug Peterson, and Trent Baalke, Taylor, we did not get to your pick at number 48 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is there a guy that you want more than any other guy?
I don't know. I think for me, I would maybe go, and this is someone that is a name she mentioned actually, and I think because my mind was so corner that now that's where I'm just thinking.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that, I think.
Yeah, and I both ways. That's why I said I would be happy either way, because I truly did feel like if they took a corner, they'd still be able to get a wide receiver that I would like, and I feel opposite the other way. Like, I feel like getting Brian Thomas, great, fantastic. You have this big wide receiver. There's still corners on the board. I'm not huge on Cooper DeJean. I think part of that is just because Mia's not, and I feel like if Mia's not on her guy, then maybe it's not it. But I like Ennis Rakestraw a lot. Like,
okay,
he's somebody.
Because DeJean is more zone, not man coverage. And
right.
I've
Which I think
also
he can play it.
Sure, I've also seen more.
And they also
he could be a safety,
That's
too.
what I was about to say. They
Yeah.
talk about a position change possibly
Correct.
in the NFL, which, whatever. We're
I
still
think
going to be
it's just
talking
because
five guys
of
secondary.
the history, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I think that's the reason for it. Because look, he is coming off of a significant foot injury, but at the same time, it's the only injury he's ever had. The medical's cleared. He did have to work out separately from the rest of the Iowa contingent, but by all accounts, he passed all the benchmarks. And so it'll be curious to see if he's the pick for the Jags at 48. But we know who the pick at 17 is, Lauren, and we're going to get a chance to hear from him.
Yes, we are. RJ, are we ready to have that presser live? All right, let's go. Here is Brian Thomas Jr., Jaguar General Manager Trent Baalke, and head coach Doug Peterson.
Gene Fournette with the Florida Times Union. When you look at this team's receiver room, the experience,